Good evening, guys. Happy Friday Eve. You are going to want to stick around for this if you own a business in any capacity, whether it's a full-blown, full-time thing, whether it's a little side gig or part-time side hustle. I am going to be sharing 3 tips for you as far as how you can better balance family and business. And really, it's not necessarily just family and business. I mean, even if you don't have any kind of a business and you maybe struggle and feel like you're spread thin, maybe, and not showing up in every role as the best version of you, I hope that maybe some of these tips will be helpful for you. And the reason I wanted to speak on this is because I actually had a friend reach out to me, a Facebook friend. She has a baking business, and she messaged me and she basically said, how do you balance family and your business? And I was sort of like taken back for a second, because I was like, wow, like I was flattered that she asked me, but it's definitely nothing that I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means, but it's something that I have had to work on and improve over the years, because it is a struggle. It is hard, especially if you are running your own business. So I'm going to share 3 tips on this. I'm going to try to be fast. Shoot, I'm starting my timer. I'm going to set the timer because I can ramble sometimes. So I set my timer. It's not going to be longer than 10 minutes. 3 tips. Make sure you stick around for the last one for sure, because that is the one that I know I struggle with the most, but it's definitely been super helpful. So, all right, balancing family and business. So the first tip is basically a mindset shift. And if you have comments, questions, anything, please drop it in the comments, say hello. If you can relate to this topic or feel like you need help, please let me know in the comments and I'll check those later. But first tip is, it's a mindset shift as far as accepting the fact that there is no such thing as perfect balance. Like, we are not going to be able to ever give our time equally to everything that's a priority in our life, right? Work, family, friends, like other things that are a priority for you, hobbies and interests, faith, things like that. There's no such thing as perfect balance. So that's the first thing, is to just wrap your mind around that fact and get okay with it. Like, remove the expectations that things will be perfectly balanced, because it's not going to happen that way. And to help you do that, and to actually kind of switch your mindset shift, or to make that mindset shift, focus instead on quality over quantity as far as the time that you are giving to the different priorities in your life. I sort of had my aha moment with this when I was reading a book by Brendon Burchard. It's called High Performance Habits. If you have not read it yet, you need to. It's an amazing book, honestly, for anybody. You can take away something from it. But he talked about this idea of quality over quantity, especially because in your life, like, depending on the type of work you do or what you have going on, there could be very busy seasons. Like, I know for me, like, or if you work in anything like sales related, maybe the end of the month and the beginning of the month are super busy times. So you might have to give more time to your work in that, during those times. But anyhow, it's this idea of quality over quantity, and just making sure that whatever time you are giving to the priority in your life, that you're showing up the best you can for it and you're making the most of it. So I'll give 2 examples. For instance, say you are like working a full-time, maybe you're running your business full-time and it takes up 10, 12 hours of your day, and you only have an hour for your family in the evening. Well, don't beat yourself up about that and feel guilty about it. Instead, when you're showing up for your family for that 1 hour, be present, right? Unplug from work, be off the phone, be present and making memories in the time that you do have, because that's going to make you feel good. Even though it's only an hour, if you're making the most of it, you're going to feel good, and that's going to help you to feel balanced and to feel aligned. On the flip side, something that I can very much relate to. Say you are, maybe you work full time, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you are working some kind of side business that you're starting. And maybe realistically, you can only give it, I don't know, like an hour a day, just as an example. Make sure that in that hour that you are giving to your business, that you're showing up intentionally, and that you're working from a checklist, and that you are doing the income producing activities that are going to help you to move your business forward. Because if you show up for that hour of time and you just screw around on social media and Pinterest, and then the end of the hour is up and you're like, crap, I didn't get anything done, then you are going to probably kind of beat yourself up and feel like you're out of balance, because then you're going to still have all these other things you need to do because you didn't do anything to move it forward. So be intentional with that time and make it count, basically. Okay, so tip 1, release the expectations that everything's going to be perfectly balanced, because it's not, and embrace this idea of quality over quantity and make the time count. Whatever you're giving your time to, make it count. All right, tip number 2 is to plan your week. Right? My planner's upstairs at my desk. I'm doing this in the basement because it's quiet down here and the lighting's good. But I have a business planner. It's very business oriented, but it's basically like, it's time blocked. It's a 1-week layout, and it time blocks from like 5 a.m. to maybe 10 p.m. I think it goes to. So I will sit down every Sunday and I will literally go through and schedule in, like block off everything we have going on. During this past year, there hasn't been that much going on for us because we've laid pretty low, but I still will sit down and I will block in and put in the time that I'm working. I'll put in like that intentional, okay, this time we're going to be, from 6 to 8, I'm going to make dinner. We're going to sit down as family and have dinner. We're going to get the kids ready for bed, have some family time. Like I'm blocking in and putting all these things on the schedule. I will tell you, I didn't always do this. When I first started, I was like flying by the seat of my pants. I was scattered. I was all over the place. With what I do, I can work on my phone. And so I was plugging in, answering messages whenever I could, doing this, doing that. And I didn't like plan it out, right? I didn't really necessarily make it part of the schedule. And so that did lead me to feel spread thin and burnt out, and like it was running my life and like I wasn't being fully present. So I knew it started to become more aware to me, and I had to make a shift. And so, but planning things out, making a schedule for yourself is so important, because for a couple of things, it helps to keep you organized with everything that you've got going on in your life. But also, I know for me, there's accountability with it too. Like I'm the type of person, when I put it on my calendar, or like I write it down, it's almost like, okay, like there's no turning back now. Now, I don't always get everything done that I write down, but it does give me that good visual reminder. Like for instance, at the end of the day, once Mark kind of finishes up his work for the day, I might have an hour where I can like sneak in some work of my own. And sometimes I'll start to get carried away, but I have my planner right in front of me, and it shows me, and I see it there that, okay, like at 5:30, I got to start making dinner, because then we're going to have family time and dinner time and get the kids ready for bed. So I see it right there, and it's kind of a visual reminder too. So just make sure you're planning your week, so that you don't feel as scattered, and that when you don't feel scattered and you kind of have that game plan going into the week, you can show up prepared for whatever role you need to step into, whether it's mom mode, whether it's, your full-time job, whether it's your part-time side gig, whether it's, something with your friends. And just a little bonus, like side note, that's not like business related per se, but making standing appointments is a great, like for different things that you want to prioritize in your life, is a great way to hold yourself accountable to getting it done. Like I know when COVID hit, I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't seeing my sisters. And so the beginning of this year, I said, you know what, even though we can't like see each other physically, let's make a plan to Zoom call every other week. So I reached out to all of them. I said, put this on the schedule. Let's make time for this, because it was important to me and I wanted to make that time. So that's a little side note, but when you kind of force yourself to make it part of your routine, that will, help you to obviously show up for it, and then help with that feeling of alignment and feeling of balance with everything else you have going on in your life. So a little sidetrack there, but all right. So that was tip number 2, plan your week. And then tip number 3, which is the hardest for me, because I'm the type of person that's like, feels like I have to do everything on my own and I don't want to ask for help, or whatever the case may be. And that is tip 3, to ask for help or to delegate. I'll kind of hit on both. Asking for help though, this can, I know for me, like before COVID, but before COVID, I was getting to a point in my business where I was in mom mode during the day. I was tutoring in the evenings. Like Mark would get home, I would race out the door to go tutor. I was teaching group fitness classes. I was working this business, like whenever I could kind of fit it in those little pockets of time. And I was starting to feel like I can't get it done. Like my business was growing, but I didn't feel like I had enough time to give it the attention it needed to keep even like maintaining at that point, let alone growing. And I didn't want it to have to suck up all of my free time with the family. So I would once a week have a babysitter. Like I would pay a babysitter for a few hours to come over, hang out with the kids, so that I could have like focused time just by myself and to just, get some things done to move my business forward. And at first I struggled to even do that because I was like, why do I want to pay somebody? Like I'm doing this business so I can have more freedom and time home with the kids. But at a certain point I had to realize like, hey, I'm growing this thing and I want to keep growing it and it's important to me. So if I have to pay somebody for a few hours so I can get some focused work done to come over and hang with the kids, it's a lot cheaper than having to put them in daycare, obviously. So I just had to kind of make that shift and like get over my pride and ask for some help in that way. Now, when COVID hit, okay, things have been silver lining of COVID for us has definitely been like, Mark's been home. And so with our schedules, we can kind of like, basically I can work when he's not working. So for instance, getting spouse support or spouse help, like in the morning, he knows that from 5 a.m., like on the weekdays, from 5 a.m., basically until he starts his work, he's on Haley duty. Like he's taking care of Haley if she needs milk or when they put her back down to sleep or whatever. And the boys are kind of doing their own thing at that point. But that's kind of how it looks in our house as far as helping. And then of course on the weekends, like I have to usually put in some work hours then. So he obviously will, hold it down and do what he needs to do for that. But don't be afraid to ask for help. And now if you're saying like, okay, my spouse works opposite schedule that I do, or I don't have friends or family nearby that can help out. First, I'm going to say you need to read the book, Everything is Figureoutable. It's an awesome book, but it really does force you to like figure out how to get something done if you really want to. But chances are if you like needed something like a babysitter for a few hours or whatever, so that you can get things done with your business, so that you don't feel like you're losing all this family time, then you can, I'm sure if you reach out to like, so if you ask enough people, you'll probably be able to find a high schooler or a college student who would babysit happily and help you out there. But yeah, it's, you can make it happen if you really want it to. But maybe it doesn't come, maybe help for you doesn't come in the form of like needing a babysitter or something like that. Maybe it comes in the form of needing to like delegate certain tasks. So maybe with your business, you have gotten to a point where you have grown things and maybe there's certain areas you want to improve, but you've just like not made time for them and you just keep putting them off and keep putting them off and you think they would help your business, but you just keep putting it off. I know for me, that's something that has happened recently. I was wanting to start a website for like 2 years. It's been on my to-do list. And then finally in the last month, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have somebody help me with this, like pay somebody to help me with this. And yes, it's an investment, but it's an investment in your business. And if it's going to help to take some pressure off you and help you to free up some time to do other things, then it's worth it. So ask for help and delegate as needed. It's not a sign of weakness. I feel like all of us need to be okay with asking for help when we need it. And then just make sure if you are getting that babysitter or whatever, like delegating something to somebody else, then use your time wisely, right? Make sure you're using that time wisely. So that wraps it up, you guys. I went over a little bit of time, but yeah, just to kind of recap the 3 tips for how to sort of like find that better balance between family and your business. Accept that there's no such thing as perfect balance and focus on quality over quantity with the time you are giving to the things, business, family, or other things in your life. Plan your week, get a good planner and just lay it all out so that you have that visual reminder of what's happening and when you're switching into different modes for the things that you need to get done. And then the 3rd tip is do not be afraid to ask for help or to delegate different things as needed so that you aren't feeling, quite so spread thin or out of alignment. So, all right, you guys, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, then please drop them below or any topics that you want to hear more about. And I'm happy to chat more on those. So have a good night, you guys.